Hello there. I have a decently bad habit of shopping with reckless abandon online, specifically for coffee machines and espresso machines. I'll look for things off of the beaten path, things that catch my eye for being a little bit odd looking, perhaps, or serving a function that you don't usually see. I'll order them, usually they will arrive at some point, and then they make their way onto this channel. And that is what has happened today. This machine, which I'm going to kind of lovingly call the Spaceship, is not actually called the Spaceship. It is called the Mini Q from Cornesti. Today we're gonna look at it, we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna talk about our feelings while using it. So, without further ado, let me get the machine. You see why I called it a spaceship now. This is not your traditional coffee maker shape, and in that way it did catch my attention, and I'm very delighted to use it today. So let me get all of our other accoutrements and we'll get started. The Mini Q is a little coffee brewer that costs approximately $65, and for that you of course have the main body of your brewer. It comes with a lovely little glass mug that fits right underneath there. One gets a tiny brush that very much has the appearance of a broom, which I'm not quite sure in what scenario I would use this, but I do like the option of being able to do this. One receives a little metal scoop, which is quite traditional of coffee machines of this ilk. I will say the fact that this spoon is metal and not plastic really delighted me. And lastly, you get an additional bean pod, for lack of a better term. I'm sure there is a better term. One just did not come to me in that moment. Now, as you just saw there, I pulled out two, and this is where this machine gets a little bit more versatile. Within these two seemingly very similar looking group heads, you'll notice that one of them has a mesh basket inside while the other one does not. This is because this one on this side is used for pods, while this one you can use your own ground coffee, which is what we'll be doing today. But if you are perhaps in a household where one person prefers pods and the other one doesn't, you do have the option to switch between the two fairly easily. Okay, now for the main body of the machine, and I'm just gonna preemptively apologize for how much I want to like stroke the machine. It's just, it feels very like I have a cat in my lap, and just the urge to do this is very natural. The build of it is pretty simple for how interesting it actually looks. Down here at the bottom, which you can kind of carefully unscrew. This right here is a little drip tray for any loose water or what have you. Over on this side, you have your water tank, and I use tank slightly generously because it is in fact very small. Easy to slot off. You can definitely fill it with water while attached to the machine, or you can take it off, fill it from the tap or from wherever your coffee water is from. One thing to note is that this is a pretty dang small water tank. This has a capacity of about 240 mils, which is the brew amount that this thing is set for. So it is one tank, one brew, then you have to refill it. Very satisfying though. All of your primary like water heating elements are all down here in the base. You have all your tubing and piping that brings the water up here where it gets dispersed over the coffee. And then on the very top, you have one singular button for go, or I mean brew or go. Take your pick. So this is the Mini Q. Let us brew some coffee. I'm gonna go get a grinder and I'll be right back.
I want to give a huge thank you to Trade Coffee for sponsoring today's video. Trade is a coffee subscription service that makes it easy to discover new coffees and get inspired to make your best cup at home every day. Trade partners with the nation's top-rated independent specialty roasters to send you the best quality coffee you can get. And whether you know what you like or are new to specialty coffee, Trade has you covered. You'll never have to worry about running out of coffee again because Trade will keep fresh bags roasted within 48 hours arriving to your front door at the cadence that works best for you. This month, Trade sent me a Tanzanian coffee from Perk, a roaster out of Savannah, Georgia. With notes of citrus, honey, and black tea, it's delicious on both filter and espresso. It has a complex mouthfeel that's really a treat, but again, if this profile isn't up your alley, then you can explore the world of flavor that Trade offers with over 450 unique coffees to choose from. So, if you're ready to get started, right now, Trade is offering my subscribers a free bag of coffee when you subscribe at drinktrade.com/MDC. That's drinktrade.com/MDC for a free bag of coffee with your subscription.
Okay, I don't break out the EK for YouTube very often. This is very exciting. I also think that I just moved the entire table here. Apologies on the ears for a moment. When people say invest in your grinder before you invest in their machine, I'm not totally sure if this is the level of separation they mean, but it's what we're gonna work with today. First things first, 240 mils of water. That good, delicious coffee water. Oh, okay, that's close enough. 240 mils comes at you a lot faster than you expect it to. We'll turn it on. The light does turn on, which is great. I've had numerous of these machines that you have never seen before that I'll press the starting button and nothing happens, and that is always disappointing for all of us. This has about a 20-second heat up time, so in the meantime, let's weigh out our coffee. I'm feeling a little embarrassed for how dirty the EK is right now, so we're gonna use our little broom to very little avail here. For a 240 mil like drip style brew, I'm gonna do like 16 grams of coffee. We'll start there. Nice. Let's go like medium coarse. Again, sorry on the ears. Ooh, this is the wrong one. Let's use the one that is actually meant for ground coffee. Now, one thing I will note is that it will be very hard to actually put grounds in this on a scale. Now, I weighed this out to be exactly 16 grams, so I'm just gonna kind of freeball this into, that's not the right word. That's not the right word at all. I am going to scoop without a scale my 16 grams into my basket. I'm sorry, everyone. It's early in the morning. This is where we're at. I do love the tactile of a metal scoop. This is winning my heart in many ways. The very, very cheap plastic scoops that you are usually given with these machines always just leave me feeling a bit sad. Okay, the last little bit, let's level that out. Close it up, and let's start our brew. There is a very light sort of magnetic grab here as you slot this in that is incredibly satisfying. Okay. Here goes nothing. Well, that is certainly coffee coming out very quickly. However, in appearance, so far I think we're okay. This is a very fast brew. I'm just watching the water tank just absolutely drain. I'm so curious what we're about to taste here. Will it make a sound when it finishes? That is the question I have right now. No sound. So sad. Oh well. That is never a deal breaker, by the way, but I do appreciate when a machine makes like a jingle, a beep, a whatever have you when it's done. Okay. We do have a cup of coffee here. That was a very, very quick extraction that has left us with something that looks drinkable. I'm curious what we'll get here. Let's have at it. Cheers. Well, it is a pretty inoffensive cup of very under-extracted coffee. It's very, very tea-like. There's like nothing that makes me like hate this. I know this coffee could be so much more, and frankly, should be. Now, because with this machine, we don't really have any control over the amount of water we're using in our brew or our flow rate. We're kind of left with two variables, that being our dose, the amount of coffee we have in our basket up front, and also our grind size. So we're gonna do this again. We're gonna stick with 16 grams. However, I am going to crank this a good bit finer. Let's make another cup of coffee. Although I will say this is just like such a nice coffee to begin with that even grossly under extracted still tastes kind of nice. Nice. I'm just gonna crank it back a whole number and we'll see what happens. I'm just trying to find the right reason to use this little brush here. Okay, we are visibly finer right now. Let's have at it. Was it a longer extraction? Yes. Was it still very quick? Also yes. Let's have a taste. Do like this mug. I mean, using a non-double walled glass for a hot liquid is always a little tricky because you can't really handle it very easily, but I like that I have it. I do indeed. That is most assuredly a better cup of coffee. We're gonna do this one more time. I think we still need to go a bit finer, and then we'll talk about it. Now, one of the things that I have noticed with this machine, and this is very common for this style of almost pod-like coffee making, is that these sort of vestibules for the coffee tend to be very difficult to clean out. The coffee gets so compacted in there that you can't really like knock it out like one might for an espresso puck or maybe like an AeroPress or something. So you're left kind of scooping it out, then disposing or composting, and then going to rinse everything. So not quite the quick tap and dump that one might hope for. We are assuredly leaving the medium coarse territory. We are definitely in like a firm medium, potentially getting towards a medium fine with this grind size. Just attach that right there. Let's see how this goes. This cup of coffee is looking a little bit better. Let's enjoy. Now, while the first cup of coffee we did brew was very under extracted in flavor and on the palate, I'm hesitant to be like too judgmental over the runtime of any of these coffees because yes, they're running fast, but ultimately taste is gonna be king. So let's look at this, let's taste it. That is a far more balanced cup of coffee. Way better balance of acidity and some bitterness and also some sweetness. I think it still needs a little bit more of like dialing in. However, this is a tremendous improvement on that first cup that we brewed. It's nice. I'm gonna keep sipping on this, but let's clean up and let's talk about this machine now that we've gotten some use out of it. Let's talk about my thoughts and feelings with this machine, starting with perhaps the less positive and moving our way forward so we end with the most positive. We always like to end on a somewhat good note, and there are good things about this, I think. So, first off, cleaning of this machine. One of the things I mentioned a little bit earlier, and I think it is worth mentioning because it is a bit of a manual and laborious task, is emptying out the grounds chamber for this machine. You'll likely need a spoon or your finger or a paper towel or something. You'll have to scrape out all those grounds and then rinse every single time. It does take 30 to 45 seconds. There's not a good way to easily take the basket out and knock everything away. Something that some people care about, something that some people don't, really depends on you. However, the thing that I think is the trickiest about this machine is the confinements created by its actual design. Now, of course, I love that they provided us a mug to use with this. However, it is both a selling point, but also to the machine's detriment. You'll note that we have confines, of course, vertically, but we also have confines on our mug size based on the drip tray. This is as wide as the base of your cup can go if you're placing it under here. This mug, of course, fits perfectly. However, if you're someone like me who uses a lot of personal mugs or even just like double-walled glasses for your coffee, gets a little bit trickier, if not impossible. Something to keep in mind. I did think initially that having a very, very small water tank would drive me crazy. It doesn't as much as I thought. It's definitely like a limitation that you have to take into consideration, especially if you are brewing multiple cups of coffee per day. You will have to continually fill it up, but it's very easy to use. It's very light. I think they did a good job with this. With these types of machines, especially at this price point, I would never expect them to offer you a lot of control on brewing. These are for people who are looking for something that is potentially a little bit more aesthetically driven and are looking for something that is pretty easy, which is a given with the fact that it contains a pod attachment. However, once we got the grind size a little bit more dialed in, the cup of coffee that we got out of it, it's very nice. I wouldn't like blink at that. It's a very pleasant cup. I think they have taken into consideration the types of tools you will need. I do love this little scoop here. I am mystified by the broom, but I also do love it just because I now have a tiny broom that I will use in my coffee setup. And I do like that they included a cup. Aesthetically, I think this will be for some people, and I think also it will be a turnoff for some people. I like this thing. I called it a spaceship earlier. I stand by that, and the tactile feel of it, the urge to just like kind of stroke it like a cat is still there, and it still has a very nice, slightly more premium feel to it. Would I use the Mini Q in my everyday? I don't know about my everyday. However, if I was traveling somewhere, if I needed to bring like a little coffee maker to an Airbnb, I could very easily see myself bringing this one. But you let me know. Is there a use case for you where you like this, or is this something that you wouldn't go for in any scenario? I'll let me know down in the comments. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go sip the rest of my coffee because it is a very nice cup of coffee. In the meantime, my name is Morgan. You can find me here on YouTube, plus shorts. Additionally, you can find me on TikTok or Instagram almost every single day. If you want more drink recipes, thoughts, reviews, just more of anything, you can go to morgandrinkscoffee.com. And until next time, we'll see you later. Have a good day, everyone.